While I was editing this video, it occurred to me that the sound wasn't working. The old mic gave up on it in the middle of what I was talking about. So I'm going to dub in a narration on the second half of the video. I don't know if it's second half, but close to the second half. So if it doesn't turn out perfectly, I apologize. It's not my normal style, but do understand that's what I'm doing. First job on site. So we got a John Deere. It's an older model, I think. It's an LA 115. It's similar to my lawnmower. Mine's an S110. And the customer's complaining that, well, it depends on who you listen to. The wife is suggesting, she's the one that contacted me, that the mower engaging handle is hard to pull. And she also said the belt is popping off the mower deck. So then the husband came over and said, no, the belt's fine. There's nothing wrong with the belt. But the wife's having a hard time pulling the engagement. So I looked at it briefly. It had Carolyn come out and we both pulled the handle and we didn't feel like it was that hard to pull. So then we went down to my lawnmower to see if there was a similarity to it. This one might have been a little bit harder. Carolyn couldn't feel any difference. I thought maybe I felt a little difference, that ours is a little easier. So I investigated. First thing I did was I looked at this here and I thought, well, maybe it's sticking, because what it is there's a cable that runs inside this piece of plastic tubing. So there's the cable. So I sprayed a little bit of WD-40 in there and just kind of let it run down. And then I pulled it a few more times and I don't know, I just wasn't sure. So I got to investigating. I followed the cable. When I got down here, there is a retaining bracket that the cable is supposed to go into. When I saw it, it was not in the retaining bracket. So you may not be able to see it in the video, but there's a hole here. It should have a retaining clip. The retaining clip is missing. So once I put it back into the retaining bracket, it worked just fine. So I will have to replace the retaining clip. The other thing I noticed right away is the cable is extremely loose. Even when I engage the mower, it's still, you can see the roller has come over after I engaged it, but it is still loose, like it's never even moved. I release it, and it's still real loose. So I have to guess that the belt is way too big, or maybe even stretched. You can see that I'm moving the engagement wheel by hand and it's just loose. See, there it's loose, and now when you tighten it back up, now it's tight, still loose. So I'm going to have to take this belt off to determine if it's oversized. I'll show you how to do that. But you can even see here, it's cutting into the plastic, that it's so big, it's cutting into the plastic of the shield. So I'm going to remove the deck, put the deck in a position I can work on it. Okay, this shouldn't be too hard. There's just a series of retaining clips that we got to take out, I think. And then we'll pull it out and then we'll take the cable off. I think that'd be easier to take off once we're underneath, once this is out. So we'll start taking some of these clips out. When I removed his retaining clip, there was a washer here. You want to be careful that you don't lose them when you're taking off the clip and pulling the bar off. front retainer clips. These are difficult to get off. Now we're going to take the belt off the engine. I'm going to have to take this bolt off to take this pulley off so I can get the spring disconnected, the engaging spring from the engaging handle or the cable. We've already discussed the cable was not in the proper location. You can't get it off with the needle nose pliers, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to use get that nut out of there and just tip it over on the side. So the MIA retaining clip has been discovered. It was laying right on the deck and fallen off. That is awesome. So I don't even have to wait for a replacement part. So I'm going to loosen that nut to get that sprocket up, pulley up, and get that spring off. Get this deck out from underneath the mower. I had to take the shrouds off. One's got 3 bolts on it, the other one's got 2 bolts on it. This explains why the belt is so big. It wasn't even on the pulley. So I guess the wife was correct. The pulley does pop off, or the belt does pop off. The husband said it didn't. So I was torn on what to believe when I was doing this. But it appears that, from what I understand, that the wife, this is her mower. So she would actually know what's wrong with it more than he would, I think. So I checked the part number of the belt, and this is a John Deere part number for the belt for a 42-inch, which is what this is, 42-inch John Deere mower. This is the correct belt, so it should be 104 inches of belt. So we're going to measure this belt, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. And the part number was right there on the belt. In order to measure the belt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of yarn that I got wrapped up on this PVC pipe. I'm going to take the yarn off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the end of the yarn to the belt. Then I'm going to start wrapping it, just, one stretch at a time along the belt, and hold on to it and go to the next spot and to the next spot. Once I get done wrapping the yarn around the belt, then I take the yarn and stretch it out with the tape measure, and then I will know how long the belt is. So it turned out the belt was the correct length. So I'm going to put the belt back on, and we're going to see why it's popping off of the spindle. Alright, so I went down and I tried to sharpen the blades, and I realized that this blade was way off balance. And so it would cause a huge vibration, is what it would cause. So I tried to balance it up the best I could, but I was taking off so much that I was afraid that I was going to ruin the blade. So I put it back on, and I took it for a test drive. Sure enough, it popped off. But you can see here how much wiggle there is in this spindle. So the blade is on the bottom side of this spindle. What has happened is it's taken these bolts, and it has rubbed a hole bigger than the diameter of the bolt. So the bolts are literally dropping through the deck. It's barely hanging on. Okay, so I got it running. So I put washers on it, snugged it down as tight as I could get it. I actually tried to sink that washer down into that rust hole a little bit, or that wear hole down in there a little bit, so there wouldn't be any movement with that pulley. And I mowed with it, and every time I backed up, I would disengage the mower, and then I would re-engage it every time. That way I got plenty of cycles to make sure that it wasn't going to pop off, and it didn't pop off. So I think I got it fixed. It occurred to me while I'm sitting here talking that I probably should engage it and disengage it a couple times at different heights. I got a lot of rocks and stumps, and I didn't want to tear up their mower, so I should lower it down and engage it and disengage it, but I can do that. So then I'm just going to wash it up, call them up, and tell them to come and get it. So I'm pretty happy. First job went pretty smooth. So hope I can inspire you. Try something new when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.